Alright, we are back. Let's get into it. I inhaled to the slow count of 10, keeping my breathing as quiet as possible as I listened to the other sounds in the room. The environmental control system, a strange creaking sound on one wall, people talking each other down the corridor, and Caleb's soft breathing from right in front of me. Ooh, girl. There were other sounds as well, low, distracting, and many, but at least I've learned to block those sounds of my own body out. My breathing, the sound of my heart, even the sound of my blood rushing through my veins. When Caleb first started instructing me how to enhance my hearing, just that much could overwhelm me. Now I could focus my ability outside my body with little effort. There was a rustle of fabric, and I reached up to catch Caleb's hand before he touched my forehead. Good work. I opened my eyes and shot him a weary smile. Thanks. Your ability to pinpoint the source of a given sound has gotten much better since even this morning, not to mention your ability to ignore unimportant auditory input. I'm impressed. I'm so tired. Biokinesis is exhausting in unique ways. The amount of focus needed for some enhancements is draining. I never realized how much focus you needed to do what you do. Just being able to keep your thoughts on what you're doing while also listening to everything around you or enhancing your vision to any significant degree is tough. Well, you have an edge with those neural enhancements of yours. If it's as tough with my enhancements, I can't imagine learning to do it without them. Gaining new respect for me? Yeah, I am. Though, to be fair, I've always respected you. You have not always respected me. Okay, you're right. I started respecting you when I realized you weren't just a cranky kidnapper. And here I haven't brought up the building incident in days. You flicked my forehead playfully before tossing me a water bottle. You're handling it well. You're at least to a level I think is passable for now. I want you to be able to keep your eyes and ears open while you're at the auction. I'll do my best. And if not, Ari has been helping me with the shields as well. I'm glad to see you're making progress with that. Advanced mental shields. Yeah, no more mind bombs, thank you. There had been a veritable marathon of training the last couple of days with the big old mission in Delphine around the corner. Everyone was trying to bring me up to, as Caleb called it, a passable level. Though there was an argument to be made of the idea of nothing short of at least 6 months of intense training would get me to be a passable state. But I didn't feel right about putting my foot down about it until the current crisis was over, since I was uniquely able to intervene into relic situations. I really wish Magnus would do something about that. Your improvement over the last few days has been impressive. I knew you'd start moving faster as soon as you got past the initial learning curve and your personal hang-ups. That sounds almost like a compliment and almost like an insult. It's not an insult, and you know it. I'm not sure I'm ready for this assignment, no matter how much progress I've made. No one feels ready when they're new, no matter how skilled they are. Confidence comes with experience, not just the ability, and experience only comes with time. Oh, hey, you can say smart things sometimes, can't you? I've seen all your records, Nori. I know I'm smarter than you. I'll have you know. I inhaled to the slow count of 10, keeping my breathing as quiet as possible as I listened to the other sounds in the room. The environmental control system, a strange creaking sound on one wall, people talking to each other down the corridor, and Caleb's soft breathing from right in front of me. There was other sounds, low, distracting, and many. But at least I'd managed to learn how to block the sounds out of my own body, my breathing, the sound of my heart, heck, the sound of my blood rushing through my veins. There was a rustle of fabric, and I reached up to catch Caleb's hand before he touched my forehead. Good work. Open my eyes and shot him a weary smile. Thanks. Didn't this just happen? Did I have a very detailed premonition, or? No, you're right. I bet Magnus is screwing around with the relics again. That's not a bet I'm willing to take. I think that's the only explanation. Caleb got to his feet and offered me his hand. I pulled myself to standing. We should get down to the lab just in case. Just how I wanted to end training today. A few minutes ago I wished he'd worked on it, so I'm not the only one to rely on. But this is annoying. Wait, if we had a little loop of sorts, did I actually think that, or did it not happen? But if it didn't happen, why would I remember? Okay, no, thinking about that seemed like it would have given me a headache. Let's just move on. We were halfway to the lab when we got the notification. It was a brief message explaining the situation a relic had, as we suspected, activated during a test involving Magnus Ulrich. I was also being called down to the lab where Magnus was waiting. I knew it. It was the third time in 2 days. From what we understand, the loop only occurred within a specific radius. We're not sure yet what it was, but based on reports, it seemed to be a few hundred meters in all directions and only impacted about 10 minutes. The problem is that we're about 3 minutes from looping again if we understand what's happening. which we think we do, it's going to do it again. It's an assumption at this point, but based on the lighting sequence, which is repeating what it did a moment ago, we think it will continue forcing a 10-minute loop until it's shut down. I'm glad to see you took my suggestion from becoming seriously, but this is a bit... As much as I would love to listen to your beautiful voice lecture me, we have a limited amount of time to deactivate the relic before we all loop again. Being trapped in a loop seems quite annoying, doesn't it, Nori? It'd be a pity if you had to walk all the way down to the lab again. This is your fault to begin with. Why are you looking at me like that? I'll give it a try. We've cleared the lab, reinforced the walls, and Nori will be with you to shield you and get you out if it begins to overload. Fine. But only because having this conversation again would be irritating. I'm pleased to see Caleb's cynicism is rubbing off on you. I believe we're running out of time. It might be wise for the rest of you to evacuate the lab. I moved closer to the relic as the others left, only shooting Caleb one look before he reluctantly followed them. There wasn't much he could do if he stayed anyway, and thanks to Magnus poking on the relics frequently the last couple of days, I've gotten a little more practice at this. Wait, is he? It'd be best to begin. We are running out of time. Right. I snapped to focus and took a deep breath before studying the relic and staring into the circulatory like I had the last time. Only a few seconds passed before I felt the familiar sensation of being drawn into it somehow, my mind filled with the image of those flashing symbols. This part was the same every time, allowing myself to be pulled into them. Once I was in, the experience varied. Sometimes I didn't do anything but pop in and try to leave right away. Sometimes it felt like I was flipping a switch, an imaginary switch I couldn't see, and I flipped it with my mind. Once it was like I had screamed into a howling void, except there was no void, and I hadn't screamed. Almost nothing I was doing was purposeful. At most, I could say I interacted with them, experienced something, and then they self-destructed as if responding to an intruder. This time I was aware of the relic making that familiar humming sound in advance as it began to overload. I wrapped my shields around it to augment Ari a split second before he teleported us away to a nearby corridor. We heard the muffled explosion from there. Well done. Thanks, it's much easier when someone teleports me away at the last minute. You must do more work so you can learn to do it safely. That way you don't need my help going forward. Around us, the researchers were buzzing with excitement as they headed back into the lab. Smoke was pouring out from the door into the hall, but it seemed like the combination shields from Mari and myself had minimized the damage. Magnus, what the hell are you doing? The last time you did this, we weren't able to contain the explosion and it destroyed the lab. I was hoping to have a breakthrough with them before your mission. If I could decode them, Nori could learn a technique from me. Seems it's not that easy. Though at least she's getting practice in shutting them down. I'm not doing anything in particular, figuring anything out from this. I'm still flailing at them with my mind until they break. Eventually I will come up against one that doesn't just shut down at the sight of me, which is why practice is needed. Though you can understand the difficulties with it, I'm not trying to activate them, and yet this is the third time. Like Nori, I fear I can't explain to you why they've been activated. For the most part, they don't engage with me at all, but every so often, you're not doing it on purpose, right? Please tell me this isn't another. I'm afraid not this time, and I can't say I'm not pleased to learn your ability to interact with them is consistent thus far. Given the circumstances, I believe learning to decode these relics is important now more than ever. We didn't expect them to become a matter of planetary security since they were rare in public spaces until now. Poking around on them is dangerous. Continuing on the ignorance about them is also dangerous. Does the council know about your little experiments down here? Let's just say I haven't deemed it necessary to inform them. Well, Nori has other things to do, so I hope there's no more practicing with the relics on the schedule for today. I guess I'll take a break for now. Good. We left the researchers to clean up the mess, which I'd felt bad about if they all didn't seem excited to examine the lab and relic remnants. Magnus walked with us on the way back up. How is the rest of your training going, Nori? It's going okay. More than okay. Our progress the last couple of days has been incredible. Incredible? High praise coming from our little Kale? Shut it, Magnus. I'm pleased to see you're proud of your student. It's heartwarming. These two really just don't get along, do they? Well, Magnus insisted on provoking Caleb at every possible chance. That didn't help. You'll be infiltrating the Delphine auction just over 24 hours. You should take the rest of the day off and just rest. We need you and the others in top form, especially you. We were giving her the afternoon off anyway. I'm glad to hear it, and I'd hate to hear that she was being overworked. If you care about it, then stop making more work for her by playing around down in the labs. In any case, I'll go take a shower, so if anyone needs me to blow anything else up, they'll have to wait. If you'll excuse me. Caleb, Ari, there's something I need to discuss with the two of you. Now's a good time as any. I gave them a quick nod and left on my own. I was almost disappointed when I walked into the living area after my shower and didn't find Caleb waiting for me there. And I kicked myself because he wasn't supposed to be there, damn it. I flopped on the sofa and drew my knees up to my chest. With all the training, I was feeling more confident in my abilities, but couldn't help but worry about the potential of mission failure. If we weren't able to at least learn who the relic supplier was, what would happen? Was it wise to throw me in the thick of things? Maybe I should insist on waiting on standby until they needed me. Then again, if something serious happened with the relic, there might not be time to get me to a place where I could help. Still, the plan was to have Caleb and I waltz into the auction like we belonged there, while the rest of the guard waited nearby to storm the place. We didn't know who was on the invite list, but Magnus had a few guesses. The auction venue wasn't massive, but they expected to have many of Delphine's most powerful and notorious leaders all in one place. There was high potential for things to go south even without relics being involved. I flopped back down on the sofa with a long sigh. I only hoped we caught whoever was behind it and put a stop to it, for everyone's sake and for my sanity. I was looking forward to this being over. I eventually found myself sitting in the lounge with a cup of tea as I read through another message from Mom. Thankfully, the family was doing well, and I had the freedom to explain more about my situation, and well, I apologized properly. None of them were angry at me. Disappointed, yes, but I smiled to myself as I took a long sip of hot tea. Disappointed I dealt with it alone and didn't let them help me conceal it, because they would have it if they wouldn't have. Wow, because they would have it. That's what I wanted. What? I had only hinted at the whole kidnapping ordeal when I spoke with her, because I figured she'd be at the headquarters demanding to speak with the council. She knew the truth. She was already asking when they could come visit, and Dad was looking into the requirements for moving to Brazel. And I want to know more about this Caleb guy you keep talking about. I believe there's more to him than just him being your teacher. If you have a new boyfriend, I really think I ought to know. I smiled again. I had no idea where to begin when it came to Caleb and my relationship with him, but she had already picked up on the fact that there was something there, because of course she had. She also asked about school again and whether I'd be granted a degree, but if I couldn't continue, to be honest, I hadn't thought about it at all. As soon as Magnus reinstated my net access, I'd gotten my test scores and noticed that I'd made prime tier. I'd been a little sad when I saw that, but there was nothing to be done about the situation, and I didn't have time to think about it. It wasn't like I needed a degree or certificate, but it would have been nice to have some sort of recognition of my work until this point. I'll have to look into that later. Do you mind if we join you? I snapped out of it and looked up, surprised to see Birdie and Casey standing next to the table. Oh, sure, I didn't see you there. You look busy. I was responding to a message from my mother. It's nothing, I can't wait. The two of them sat, Birdie grinning at me as she did so. It's been a while, hasn't it? It has. I've been busy almost non-stop lately. That situation with the relics, huh? Yeah. We've seen some general reports on it, though we don't know all the details. It sounds stressful, though. There's another mission coming up tomorrow, right? It was mentioned in the last status update. Yeah, Queen's Guard is heading to Delphine for it. Are you okay? Of course I am. It's not my first assignment or anything. It seems really soon. Then again, you are the Queen. That's a different level than the rest of us. I don't know about being on a different level or anything, but I'm needed there. I saw the general briefing about your first mission too. The one in Astray? Visiting a murder scene? Seemed intense for the first time out. My first time mission was just an escort assignment, a small team venturing a little bit into the wastes for some environmental samples. Mine was overseeing business negotiations in Sear. Astray wasn't all that bad. I mean, it wasn't exactly fun, but I think it could have been worse. Well, you had the incident in Brazel prior. I guess it wasn't an assignment, but after something like that, anything doesn't involve screaming and maniacs must seem easy. That's true. There was decidedly less shouting and chaos in Astray. Astray had its own issues, but in the grand scheme of things, it was the easiest thing I've dealt with so far. What are you three talking about? First assignments. Casey gave Mara and Odette an easy smile, unlike Birdie, who was practically vibrating in her seat at the sight of two more guard members. Sounds fun. Mind if we join in? Of course not. Birdie's eyes had adorably gone wide as saucers as she made room for them. Mara, I could tell, was amused. It was cute how starstruck she was. I guess the guard members had quite a reputation among the junior agents. First missions, eh? I don't even know if I remember mine. My experience with it is probably a bit different from everyone else's. You were already an old pro by the time you joined in-game. I don't remember my first assignment either, though. Feels like a million years ago already. I can tell you my third assignment didn't involve going undercover into the heart of Delphine, though. That's for sure. Delphine's a hellhole, but I've been on worse assignments to other places. Sire isn't exactly a playground. I had noticed her accent before. She was from Delphine, so I suppose she would know better than anyone what Delphine was like. Still. Did you grow up in Delphine? Delphine didn't. Did you grow up in Delphine? Did you grow up there? I wasn't sure if I should bring it up, but I had been curious about it for a while. I knew there was recruits from Delphine, but most of them didn't sound like it as much as she did. Oh, you knew? I recognized the accent right away. One of my professors was from there, but I guess there wasn't much time to ask about it. I'm from there too, but I came here when I was little, so I grew up in Delphine and only moved here a few years ago. I'm a newbie compared to the others here, but like you, my recruitment story is pretty unusual. Came here after trying to get out of a bad situation over there. Endgame was the only place I thought I'd find help and safety. Didn't earn me any friends back in Delphine, and, well, probably not many here either. I guess there are many who still aren't sure about me, not that I care. And the ones who matter, like you, okay. Casey and I like you. Delphinians have to stick together, I suppose so. I guess our going over there for this assignment will help us in a way of its own. It's in everyone's best interest to get the relics off the streets, but if the epicenter in Delphine, one assumes they'll feel the benefit of our help the most. Though I'm sure that only goes for the people who weren't involved in it. The ones who were, well, they should just hope we don't find them in the midst of shutting things down. Good luck to them. They'll need it. We continued to chat for a while, but the others eventually all had things to go do. Training sessions, assignments, reports to work on. I was left alone again, obstinately having an afternoon off to rest. After everyone had left, it occurred to me that I didn't know what to do with myself on my days off. Even a new hobby again. If I had a day off from school, I usually spent it doing errands or studying. It wasn't surprising that I found myself curled up reading about Delphine Underworld instead of resting. There were some dark things going on in Delphine. But I guess it had always been that way. Delphine was never supposed to exist, and it wouldn't if not for the AI, if not for the king's intervention. I suppose that's why it was important to shut down this relic auction. We couldn't let those things get into the hands of the types of people who would be there. So, while the ultimate goal was to learn who the supplier was and shut down the entire operation, the immediate goal of tomorrow's mission was to shut down the auction and seize all the items being sold. That was the most important thing for now, especially getting our hands on the items that could duplicate other relics. Though it would be a problem if that one was also a replica. What a frustrating situation. You look like you're thinking about something heavy. Done with work for the day? Seems like it. He joined me on the sofa, stretching out his legs. I was sure he was tired after a long day of meetings. They could be mentally draining. Did you stay here in the reading? Did you stay in here reading the entire day? Oh, just a few hours. Had dinner yet? Not yet. I was gonna have dinner in my flat tonight. Wanna join me? Gonna make some typical college student fare. Not that you would even know what that is, but no, I'm a decent cook, thank you very much. I'll look forward to sampling your very decent cuisine then. I'll try not to burn it just for you. He stood and offered his hand. How were the meetings? Boring as usual. Anything I should know about? Not really, but we're getting some updates about some other situations right now. There's never just one thing. I can see how that would be annoying. I guess it can feel like there's only one thing going on and get wrapped up in a case like this. It could feel that way, but it's never that easy. So what else is going on in the world these days? Oh, the usual. Sears getting ready to revolt over regulations and mining quotas. Some moron tried to trespass into the waste, and their transport got taken out by the colony of sand lampreys. We had to drag the survivors out. A group of renegades from Delphine crossed the sea and attacked one of the northern battery stations. Some normal researchers got dragged into the fighting. It almost became an international incident. And the expedition to Dion's western expanse has gone missing, and they have asked us to look into it. Have they already sent out a team? They mobilized this morning, 2 experienced teams. Hopefully they'll find the expedition intact. I hope so. We know the western expanse to be pretty dangerous, though I understand there are a lot of people eager to explore it. I don't get that at all. Dion has some of the most hostile environments in the system. Is the history of some unrelated species even interesting enough to risk your life for? Some people think so. You realize history is something we all share. It doesn't happen in just one group in isolation. It doesn't matter if it's humans weren't here at a time. It's still a part of our history. I guess that's one way to look at it. It's the only logical way to look at it. If you say so, I struggle with the idea that you get nervous before some simple assignments here, but you throw yourself in the Delphine's jungles to go hunt down some lost city. Look, I never said I wanted to explore the Western Expanse. Just that I understand why others do. I guess that's good to hear. You'd probably give me an ulcer if you were that reckless. With how much you fret and get annoyed at everything in existence, I'm shocked you don't already have 12 ulcers. I'm definitely working on it since you showed up. You need new hobbies then? I had plenty of hobbies, thank you. Oh, I'm eager to hear about these hobbies, since the only one I know so far is Volantant, a game I still very much have to teach you how to play. Good luck with that. If you can handle Dion, you can handle Volantant. I guess we'll see about that, whether I want to or not. Damn right. There's really nothing at all. Well, I went there for a rock climbing workshop once. That was fun. Rock climbing? You can do that in the city, right? There's probably a place here in Brazel. I can look into it. It's not the same at all. I tried New Albion and I guess it was fun in a way, but it's not the same as the real thing. The dome I visited for my workshop straddles several natural rock faces. It's perfect for real outdoor rock climbing, and I really wanted to experience. Why? I just thought it might be useful to know the basics. What? They haven't come up with the better ways to access hard to reach digs and evacuations? Of course they have, but you know how the storms on Dion can be very electrical equipment? I wanted to make sure I was prepared for anything. I've taken a lot of extracurricular classes on various subjects and might surprise you some of what I've studied. An overachiever to the core. You never know when it might come in handy. Sure, it's not like you can just teleport places now. Ari hasn't taught me that skill yet. You'll get there. Anyway, at the time I took the workshop, teleporting wasn't even on the table as an option, but it was fun. I wouldn't mind going back sometime, and I guess it wouldn't be bad to try a place here in Brazel, even if it's not the same thing. Real outdoor rock climbing sounds fun. I should try it sometime. We should go together then, unless you wanted to go without me. No, I want to go with you, obviously. How do holidays even work here? I feel really out of the loop. No one even explained that to me. We get to leave like any normal job would. If it's more than like a weekend trip, you just have to reserve some time, that's all. Sometimes it's disappointing how mystique of this place gets dispelled once you are inside it. Mystique? Seriously? Sure. You think anyone wants to imagine Esper's doing something as mundane as reserving time off for a holiday? They much prefer imagining everyone perpetually saving the world. Well, this would be some kind of hell planet if it was in need of saving that much. Based on my initial weeks here, I can't say it doesn't feel like that. It's not always like this. I mean, there's always something going on, but it's not always this dire. I'll believe it when I see it. Speaking of which, no, I told you earlier I don't want to talk about work tonight. I don't want to think about work. I don't want you to think about work. Fine. Magnus believes he may have located a probable base of operations for whoever is distributing these relics, though it could just be the Delphine government setting up a new facility, but there's a lot of activity at some Aryan structure out in the middle of the ice. Getting a team there will be hard, but we'll figure it out. And no, you're not going to be on the recovery team. Maybe one of the cleanup crews. Aww. I would like to see your face if you get to go, though. I can only imagine how it would light up getting to poke around in some dangerous place full of alien tech that wants to kill you. I could do without the alien tech, but the ruins? Yeah. Some of the ruins are alien tech. They aren't just old buildings. Ooh, this feels like a story I need to hear. Nah. No, not tonight. I should go and let you rest. He leaned and pressed a kiss to my forehead as he slid his arms around my waist and pulled me in for a quick hug. Tomorrow will be busy, but I don't want to keep you up. You act as if I'll miraculously be able to sleep just because you leave. At the very least, try. Tomorrow morning will be filled with briefings, and then we'll be headed to Delphine. Sounds like so much fun. It's not, trust me. Sometimes your honesty is not comforting. He leaned in and pressed a careful kiss to my forehead, then my lips. When he kissed me like that, it made me want to ask him to stay, but I didn't think that was a good idea yet. He pulled me into another hug, leaning his cheek against the top of my head. Things are about to heat up significantly, but with luck, your part in all this will be over by the end of tomorrow. Maybe we could take a trip to the rock climbing place. It's been a month, but I think you could use an actual break away from here. Sounds wonderful. He smoothed my hair back as he pulled away. You'll do fine. I know, and I'll have you right there with me anyway. Exactly. He stood up and stretched, his back making a series of loud pops. Thank you for the dinner. No problem. Thank you for minimal complaints on my cooking technique. I wasn't complaining, I was helping. Right, helping. Next time you get to cook and I get to help. I look forward to it, and I'll see you in the morning. We shared another quick kiss at the door, and I again was left tempted to ask him to stay, but we said goodbye and he left. After that, I had some tea and stayed up reading for a while. When I finally went to bed, I had far too much trouble falling asleep, but at some point, the weariness took over and I drifted off. And that's the end of that chapter, and I'll see y'all next time. Deuces.